There's a ton of noise out there. So, how do you get decision makers to pay attention to your brand? Start a podcast and invite your ideal clients to be guests on your show. Learn more at sweetfishmedia.com.
You're listening to the B2B Growth Show, a podcast dedicated to helping B2B executives achieve explosive growth. Whether you're looking for techniques and strategies or tools and resources, you've come to the right place. I'm James Carberry.
And I'm Jonathan Green.
Let's get into the show. Welcome back to the B2B Growth Show. We are here today with Ryan Bonnici. He is the CMO at G2 Crowd. Ryan, how are you doing today?
I'm doing absolutely well, thanks. How are you?
I am really excited to be chatting with you today, Ryan. I've been looking forward to this conversation for a while. We're going to be talking about three very specific things today. We're going to be talking about marketing measurement. We're going to be talking about buyer intent, and then we're going to be talking about leveraging the customer's voice across the entire funnel. I think you've got a lot of value to add in all three. All three of these things we're going to be talking about. But before we do that, Ryan, I'd love for you to just give a little bit of context for the few people listening that don't already know what G2 Crowd is. Tell us a little bit about what you and your team are up to over there.
Absolutely, James. So G2 Crowd is a community where users submit reviews on the business solutions that they use at work to help other businesses and other business professionals make informed purchasing decisions. So I think we're the leading site now based on review data. So we've got something like 350,000 reviews of business products. So different CRM tools, different marketing automation tools, different social media tools, different finance tools, different all sorts of tools really for the different areas within a business. So what we've got like tens of thousands of people leaving reviews every day and every week, and millions of visitors coming to our site every month to help them work out what software to buy. So if you think of Yelp helps me work out what restaurant to eat at tonight. Amazon's reviews help me work out what different products I want to buy. G2 Crowd's doing the same, but helping businesses select the right software for their businesses.
I love it. Awesome, Ryan. So we've got a lot to cover today. So I want to dive right into this first part of the conversation in talking about marketing measurement. As we were talking offline, you said you just see a lot of folks doing this wrong. Talk to us a little bit about your thoughts on marketing measurement, and then I want to dive into how folks can start doing it the right way.
Yeah, absolutely. So look, I think for like a really long time, marketers have been siloed into different channels. So think of, an email marketer versus a social media marketer versus a blogging person on the team. And so over time, because marketers specialize typically around channels, what I find happens is CMOs and marketing leaders have a tendency to measure success of marketing via channels. And I think what's really, really interesting is actually the channel isn't the thing that's indicating or driving success. Oftentimes, it's actually the content that is being published on the different channels. So one thing that I talk with a lot of marketers, and I do a lot of consulting, is basically the difference about focusing on a content-centric way of measuring marketing as opposed to a channel-centric way of measuring it. And so the first step to really do and to start to think about marketing and measurement in the sense of content versus channels is to conduct a content audit of your existing digital assets. So if you're creating content on a blog or on your website or on social, basically going back and looking at what are all the different content topics that we create content about. So you'll have lots of different topics that will vary for every different industry, but likely these topics will align around the different personas that your business is trying to sell to. Now, what I recommend people do, and the easiest way to do this is if you have a blog, is basically to export your Google Analytics data for all of your blog posts at a URL level, and then start to categorize them. So all of your blog posts around a similar topic, tag them with that topic name. And then what you want to then start doing is looking at those categories or those topics as a whole and saying, okay, every single blog post on topic A. So let's just say the topic was email marketing that you were creating blog posts about. You'd look at that and then you'd start to see, okay, how many people are visiting all of that content on email marketing, and what is the average visitor to lead rate for that kind of content? And you would do that for all of your different topics. And then what you find, and we did this big analysis at HubSpot, we've just done this again now at G2 Crowd, is that the content that works really well on social is the same content that works really, really well on your blog. And it comes back down to these different topics as opposed to the specific, say, time of day that you publish on social or things like that. So does that kind of make sense at a high level, James, kind of thinking
absolutely.
about these content topics versus channels?
So basically, once you make that determination, it becomes shifting your content strategy to really just doubling down on creating more of the content that under kind of the under the topic umbrellas that end up driving more leads. Is that correct?
So exactly. Yeah. And it comes down to like ultimately you can decide what that thing is you want to measure these by. So it might be leads, it might be sales opportunities, it might be visitors. That's kind of up to you. But yeah, exactly. That's kind of the goal. And I think the way I think about it is most people, are creating, most businesses today, especially B2B businesses, are creating a lot of content, right? They understand that content marketing works really, really well. And they're creating content, but then a lot of the time they don't take a step back and look at, okay, like what content within all of my blogging content is doing well. They'll just look at, the monthly organic visitors to their blog. And if they take that step back and actually start to identify these different topics, they can then start to work out not only which topics are generating lots of organic visitors and having the best like visitor to lead rate, but you can then also start to work out like a ceiling for a certain topic. And what I mean by that is you might now be ranking, if you've done a good job with all of your content research and content strategy, you might be ranking on the first page of Google for all of the key terms under a certain topic. Now, if you are, there might not be as many benefits of continuing to create more content about that topic because you're already ranking really well for it. It might be time to start to look for different topics that you can start to build out. And that's something that I always have people do as an exercise is to start think about those sorts of things, as they're building out their content marketing strategy. And if anyone wants to learn more about this, I pretty much have like a step-by-step guide and process for how to do this that it's tagged on my Twitter account. I think it's like the pinned post at the top of my Twitter, which is at Ryan Bonnici, just my name, RyanBonnici. Because this is something they get asked a lot about. And it's just something that most marketers never take that step back and think about because most marketers are organized by channel.
And so when they're actually trying to measure, okay, how much, what were the results of this specific blog post or this specific piece of content, are there any tools that you've used that kind of help, or is it baked into the marketing automation platform that they're using to be able to just tag accordingly so that you're actually measuring, okay, what results did this piece of content
That's a great question. I mean, some CMSs will allow you to do it. So HubSpot CMS allows you to do it. And I know a bunch of others allow you to do it. And, to some degree, you can just use the tags that you probably are already using for your blog today. So when you're writing your blog post, you're probably tagging them with different tags. Ultimately, though, what you do need to do is once you export all of that data, so the URLs with then the number of visits, as well as then leads and customers that you've generated, you then want to actually start to group those different blog tags under more holistic groupings. So, for example, you might have a tag that's like email marketing optimization, and you may have another tag that's like email marketing, click-through rates, and all those things. Like all of those tags, you would want to then loop them up under the email marketing topic, for example, if that's a topic that you're creating content about, to then look at all of those smaller blog posts in aggregate. And then what you can also start to do, right, is do the same with your Facebook or your Twitter or your social strategy, is looking at then all of the shares of those content topics by post. So export all of your post data from Facebook or from Twitter, and then do the same thing, categorize each of those posts around the content topic that was in the post. And what you'll start to find over time is actually that, the success of these posts is far less to do with the specific line and text that you used in the Twitter post or the Facebook post, and it'll be more actually about the content topic itself. And you'll start to realize what content topics your audience is engaging with and the ones that they aren't engaging with. I feel like you don't really necessarily need a whole lot of free tools here other than exporting all of the data from Google Analytics and then being able to use Google Sheets to start to tag and then build averages out for those different topics.
All right. So this next piece that we're going to talk about, Ryan, is buyer intent. And just talking about some different ways to learn more about your buyers and where they're at in kind of the buying journey. Talk to us about how you think about that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so one of the things that I think about, and I've always done with my team, whether that was at Salesforce or when I was at HubSpot or now at G2 Crowd, is I always make my team do a bit of a tagging process of our website in terms of like where content sits within the buying funnel. And we align that then to buying intent. So what pages on our website are awareness content? What pages on our website are for consideration content, and what pages on our website are more decision-based content, right? So that's just using a very basic buying journey of awareness, consideration, decision. But then what you can start to do is you then want to start to fold all of that content and tagging into your marketing automation and your behaviorally driven marketing communications. So for example, your website homepage might be an awareness page that you tag. So anyone coming to our homepage probably don't know a whole lot about the company. They're learning about the company. They're trying to find out more. Now, if someone's going to your pricing page on your website or your contact us page, that's probably like consideration or decision style content. And so based off of those different types of pages on your site, you then want to start to send signals to your sales team to do different things with those people. So, one really basic automation that we have set up for sales is if anyone comes to the G2 Crowd website and they're reviewing the G2 Crowd marketing solutions page where they're learning about the different premium products that they can buy on G2 Crowd, whether it's, a premium profile or, buying intent data or reports, we'll then automatically send an email on behalf of the sales rep that owns the account, assuming there is a sales rep that owns that account, we know who they are, that sends an email to that person on the page saying, hey, Jane, saw that you were checking out, the marketing solutions page on g2crowd.com. Would you like to schedule some time to sync up and talk through some of these different marketing solutions? Let me know, Ryan. It'll all be personalized for the person that was on the page as well as the salesperson that owns that account. And what we see is like a 50% email send to meeting booked rate from those emails. So because they're, which is ridiculously high, right? For email marketing, people keep saying email marketing is dead, and mass email marketing where you're spraying and praying absolutely is dead. But when you're doing really targeted email marketing that, is very behaviorally driven, if that person is still on the webpage when they're receiving that email from you, they're still in that mindset. They're much more willing to engage. So I'd say there's like a lot of things that people can do in terms of buyer intent with their own website. But I think people will always reach a certain ceiling where they're also like, hey, there's only so many people that know about us and our product or service. What about the people that don't know about us? And that's where I say, companies that aren't already should be on G2 Crowd, right? If they sell software or they sell services, they should create a free profile on G2 Crowd and start to generate reviews of their product or service from their customers. Because once you've generated 10 reviews from your customers, that then makes you eligible to sit on all of the different grids on G2 Crowd that your product or service is relevant to, which helps you then get in front of more and more buyers of those different products or services. So that'd be kind of like the other step I'd say for people wanting to start to, leverage buying intent a bit differently is, get that free G2 Crowd profile. And once you start to do that, then you can upgrade to more premium versions of G2 Crowd where we actually start to give you much more granular data about the people that are viewing your page and your category. So, let's say you are a marketing automation company, sell software, and you're on the marketing automation G2 Crowd grid. If you're paying for our buying intent data, we're helping you understand the different companies that are in the market right now for the product or service or category that you sell. And, if you're using Salesforce, you can sync that G2 Crowd buying intent data with your CRM. So the reps that own certain accounts that are visiting your category or your profile on G2 Crowd, that will all show up in Salesforce. So your reps then know which of their accounts are currently in the market and buying or researching. That's just a new product that we launched only a few months ago now, but we've had really great reception to the product so far. Lots of software companies and service companies are starting to buy that now, which is exciting that we can start to move into that data space.
I love it. This last piece, Ryan, that we're going to talk about is leveraging the voice of your customer across the full funnel. Explain to us what this looks like for you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. So look, I think like most marketers still think of leveraging the customer voice from the perspective of putting up a customer testimonial on your website and creating a customer case study video or, in-depth data sheet with learning. And I'd say that's like a great step. But buyers are becoming more and more, I guess, confident in buying software without, necessarily needing to engage with sales reps. But they're also becoming more, I think, weary of trusting content that brands are publishing about themselves. And so one of the things that I think, and one of the areas where a lot of marketers, especially B2B marketers, are missing out is by leveraging third-party customer content, right? So when, people are reviewing content about your product or service on a platform like G2 Crowd, there's a much higher level of trust in the data because that data can't be edited by a marketer at the company, right? Like it's generated by customers of the product or service. So I'd say, if you are a company that sells a product or a service, whether it's software or services, start getting your customers to leave information about your business on sites like G2 Crowd. And we're not the only ones. So you shouldn't just do it for us, but, for all of those different sites, because there's millions of buyers that are coming to sites like ours and others every month, and they're wanting the real truth from real customers. And, having just a perfect 5-star rating on sites like G2 Crowd actually isn't the best for your brand. You really want customers on there telling the truth about, your product or service. And if they were in a certain segment where the product or service wasn't good enough, you want that there because it's helping your future buyers learn what is the best fit for your product or service. So I'd say leveraging customer voice on third-party sites is one area where a lot of brands aren't thinking enough about and aren't putting proactive programs in place. But then also leveraging that data for your product or your development teams too, right? So, we have a lot of engineering teams and product teams and executives that come to G2 Crowd every day to actually learn from their customers and from the reviews of their customers to start to indicate and derive the product roadmap for their business based off of what their existing customers have told G2 Crowd's website. Because a lot of the time, I think, marketers or people that have bought your product or service, they might not feel as comfortable saying it to you, the account manager or the salesperson, what they like and don't like, especially if you're asking them. But they feel much more willing, I guess, to share content on G2 Crowd around what they liked and didn't like. And so I'd say smart product teams are leveraging the customer voice to start to gain new insights to how they should develop their product or service even further.
I love it. Ryan, this has been fantastic. If there is somebody listening to this, they want to stay connected with you, they want to learn more about G2 Crowd, what's the best way for them to go about doing that?
I mean, the best way to go about doing that would probably be to either add me on Twitter. Anyone can DM me or tweet me and I get back to everyone. So my handle is and then just my name, Ryan Bonnici. And if you search Ryan Bonnici G2 Crowd, you'll find me on Twitter. But then I'd say also just connect with me on LinkedIn. I am super happy to accept connection requests from people in the industry wanting to learn, where I'm always sharing a lot of content there. So yeah, and connect with G2 Crowd as well if there's anything we can help you with too.
Awesome, Ryan. Well, again, this has been incredible. I really appreciate your time this morning, sharing these really valuable insights, and looking forward to going live with this. So I appreciate it, man.
Thanks so much, Shane. You too. It's great to connect, and looking forward to watching everything that you're doing continue to grow too.
There are lots of ways to build a community, and we've chosen to build the B2B growth community through this podcast. But because of the way podcasts work, it's really hard to engage with our listeners. And without engagement, it's tough to build a great community. So here's what we've decided to do. We're organizing small dinners across the country with our listeners and guests. No sales pitches, no agenda, just great conversations with like-minded people. We'll talk business, we'll talk family, we'll talk goals and dreams. We'll build friendships. So if you'd like to be a part of a B2B growth dinner in a city near you, go to b2bgrowthdinners.com. That's b2bgrowthdinners.com. Thank you so much for listening. Until next time.